Right, so we're officially back, and I wanted to make another video covering arrays. Oh, if I could type, that would be great. Arrays and objects. So they're essentially two more complex data types that we'll be covering today. So an array is where you'd store, like, a collection of data. If there was a list of something, as an example, that's where you store. And then objects are key value pairs. So if you wanted to have like a key saying name, and then the value could be res, as an example, right? So that's like a little bit of a quick overview. And then let me just correct this. This is making me laugh. So we can move on. What I've done is just increased the zoom size as well, so hopefully it's a little bit easier to see. But again, I'm open to kind of any feedback that anyone may have. So arrays, let's get cracking with that then. So let's do an example of an array. So we'll do let, and then I'm glad that it knows that I'm doing an array, so that's good. So let's do fruits, and then we'll do like an array of fruits as an example. I mean, that's not an array. And what we'll do is we'll do apple, yep, banana, we'll accept that, and we'll do another one. Let's do cherry. Excellent. So we've got three available here. What we can do is we can just console log fruits, and if I just run the file now, we'll have a look at what we get. So what I'll do now is I'll print out the entire array. Now what if we wanted to get just return apple as an example? So something you need to understand in any programming language really is the first element of a list or an array will start with 0. So this will be 0, 1, and then that will be 2. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to console log again, and we're going to accept this. But how we access something in an array is that we would use a square bracket notation, and then what we'll do is we'll just add in a 0. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run the file, and we're just going to confirm that we've got apple printed out, right? So if you want to access something inside of a list or an array, you do it via this indexing, and the index will always start with a 0 and then go up from there. And then obviously you can go ahead and update that array or list, but we won't be covering that today. This is just to explain like what an array is. And then we'll look at objects. So objects. So object is pretty interesting, right? So let's say we're creating an object for a person, because we've already covered the example of name, right, as a key. So in this object we'll use these curly braces and we'll open it up. So first name can be our key, and our value here is going to be John, right? So you can see, right, this is getting mapped to this. Let's try another one, right? So let's do age, right? Age equals to 18. So now this is excellent, right? So this is enough, and what we're going to do is we're just going to console log the person, and we're just going to see what we get available here in the console. So we've got first name John, age is 18. Now we already understand how to access something from an array, but how do we access something from an object? So this is pretty interesting, right? And this is the key differentiator of an array and an object here. So what we'll do now, console log, and then we'll do person. And if you want to access like a particular element, you'll just access it via the key. So person.firstname, and we're just going to log that to the console, and here you can see we get John, right? So now if we want to update that, we'll get rid of this and we'll say we want the age instead, and we'll run that, and here we've got the age printed out in the console. So that's how you'd access something, right? You wouldn't have to index, but you'd access it via the key, and it will return the value from there. So yeah, that is essentially a quick overview of arrays and objects, so you understand, right? Arrays can store multiple values, and you can access them, using the indexes as we've covered. And the good thing is that, for objects, it'll store information based on their key value pairs. So that's really what you've got to understand, the difference between the two. And a bonus section for today is just understanding a little bit about how JavaScript works, and that is dynamic typing in JavaScript, right? So JavaScript is the language that is dynamically typed, which essentially means, right, that you don't have to explicitly declare, you know, what data type a variable is. If you've seen Java, if you've seen any other language before, you'll know that you'll do, like, for example, in Java here, you do string, and then you do, well, actually it'll be like something like this. It'll be like string, and then you do the name of the variable. So let's say name, and then you do equals, and then you do your whatever the name might be, Raz. Yeah, perfect. Right, so you do something like this to declare a variable. But because JavaScript is dynamically typed, we don't need to say that this is a string, but we'll just give like a let var const, whatever it might be, and then we'll just give name, and then equals to that, whatever the value you want to give to that variable. So yeah, so that means that essentially, you know, the type of variable can update and change after it's been declared, which you can't do in other types of languages, and that's the beauty of having a dynamically typed language. So it affords us a lot of extensibility. You can have it statically typed like you have in TypeScript. Maybe we'll do another video on that, but this is a quick overview of arrays and objects, and maybe in another lesson we'll look at you know, the different functions that you can use with arrays and objects, how you access items we've seen today, but maybe how you append items, stuff like that we'll look at on another one. But yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.